I am calling this meeting to order of the Transportation Committee. Can I have a roll call?
Colbert,
Here.
Evans, Garcia, Ozog,
Here.
Tornatori,
Here.
Zay,
Here. That's my breath.
Okay, do we have any public comment?
we do not.
Nope, okay.
Paula just came in.
Okay, I'm gonna go back to chair remarks. Last week, we were down at Hinsdale Lake. I hope I got that right.
Yep.
Anyway, John was there and Steve and Lucy was there and Paula and Michael Childress. And it was a great open house for various services that DuPage County offers in that particular area. And we've gotten a really good response about our Pace and Uber partnership. And John, what are we up to numbers wise?
About 160.
160. So 160 people have signed up so far, and it's specifically serving that zip code. And there was a really good crowd. So it was a good morning. So thank you to everybody who was there. Otherwise, no public comment. I'm going to move to approve the minutes Tuesday, January 21st, 2025.
Second.
Okay. Any comments, questions, or changes? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, next I am going to combine items 6A through E.
Second.
I have a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, I move to approve DTP 00725, recommendation for the approval of contract to Casey Equipment to furnish and deliver one new TAC cart trailer for the Division of Transportation for the period February 11th, 2025 through November 30th, 2025 for a contract total not to exceed $37,108.40. I move for approval of DTP 00825, recommendation for the approval of a contract to National Auto Fleet Group to furnish and deliver two Ford Broncos for the Division of Transportation for the period of February 11th, 2025 through November 8th, 2025 for a contract total not to exceed $64,421.08. I move for approval of DTP 00925, recommendation for the approval of a contract to CIT Trucks LLC to furnish and deliver one semi-tractor for the Division of Transportation for a contract total not to exceed $187,012 for the period February 12th, 2025 through November 30th, 2025. I move for approval of DTP 001025, recommendation for the approval of a contract to DLZ Illinois to provide professional traffic design engineering services for various locations. Upon request for the section 24 for the period of February 11th, 2025 through October 31st, 2026 for a contract total not to exceed $400,000, professional services vetted through a qualification-based selection process. And I move for approval of DTP 001125, recommendation for the approval of a contract to FGM Architects Incorporated for professional architectural and engineering services for the Division of Transportation's Highway Maintenance Facility for the period February 11th, 2025 through October 31st, 2026 for a total contract amount not to exceed $3,330,863. Professional services vetted through a qualification-based selection process. Okay, I have a second. Any comments or questions on all of these items? Okay, I'm sorry, question?
Oh, sorry.
Oh, do you have a question?
No.
Oh,
I was
okay.
Holding my pen like.
Put that pen down. Any other, nothing? Okay, nothing. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. Next, I move for approval of 250371, amendment to resolution DTP 0261A19 issued to Burns and McDonnell for professional design engineering services for improvements along Grand Avenue to decrease the funding in the amount of $15,357.19 and close the contract, resulting in a final county cost of $215,017.52, a decrease of 6.67%. I move for approve, and okay, I got a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. I move for approval of 250376, amendment to resolution DTP 033819 issued to AE Technical Services for the professional construction engineering services for improvements along Gary Avenue Trail to decrease the funding in the amount of $16,513.19 and close the contract, resulting in a final county cost of $331,964.41, a decrease of 4.74%. And I have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, I move for approval of 250375, amendment to resolution DTP 009422, issued to Christopher B. Burke Engineering for professional preliminary engineering services for the East Branch DuPage River Trail to decrease the funding in the amount of $38,039.58 and close the contract, resulting in a final county cost of $168,470.33, a decrease of 18.42%. I have a second. Comments or questions? All in favor? Next, we have some amending resolutions. I move for approval of 250380, amendment to resolution DTR 013422, issued to Superior Road Striping for the 2022 pavement marking maintenance program, section 22, to decrease the funding in the amount of $18,786.42 and close the contract, resulting in a final county cost of $478,195.94, a decrease of 3.78%. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor? I move for approval of of 250383, amendment to resolution DTR 039118, local public agency agreement for federal participation between the County of DuPage and the Illinois Department of Transportation for improvements along Greenbrook Boulevard, to decrease the funding in the amount of $54,181.42, resulting in an amended total amount of $248,207.58, a decrease of 17.92%. I have a second. Comments or questions? Okay, all in favor? All right, next we have a travel request. I move for approval of the county engineer for local overnight travel to attend the National Association of County Engineers Annual Conference in Schaumburg from April 13th, 2025 to April 17th, 2025. Expenses include registration fee, lodging, miscellaneous expenses, and per diems for an approximate total cost of $2,359. Mr. Zay.
Thank you. I thought we had travel policy, no lodging if we're within 90 miles of the county.
Right, so, yes, we do, and that's why we're here today. This is, the National Association of County Engineers, state of Illinois, and this region are hosting. And it was requested by the planning committee that the local county engineers, the 5 or 6 of them around the Chicagoland area, stay at the venue to assist, with the conference itself.
Okay.
No. Member Desart.
Thank you. They could still assist with the conference. It doesn't go till midnight though, right? So it's like they could still get home and sleep in their own beds. I totally agree with members A. I had this underlined myself. I mean, when I was on the school board, we had conferences in Chicago and, you know, we had to come home and sleep in our own beds. I'm just saying I disagree.
Okay. I was also on the school board and we did stay downtown one time. There were 7 a.m. conferences or meetings. And I think in this particular case, I think they're gonna be putting them to work.
Yeah,
So,
it's not just a convenience.
it's not. Okay, Member Evans.
I think these are long days at the conferences too, so when you add the commute, which is, you know, they have a regular commute, but when you add the commute and the parking fees even, you know, versus staying in the hotel, I'm okay with this. It was a question though, because I thought that we
Yeah.
had rules.
But I think the hosting element of this is where they're going to be utilizing the
I would support this.
5 collar counties and Cook. Member Deacon Garcia.
Thank you. I would agree. I mean, since they've been asked to help pretty much host and try to help plan and put together. I mean, I was kind of questioning this first, I'm like, Schaumburg, that's not far to go, but doing this work, you know, that means getting there early, making sure everything's set up, and then being there late to make sure everything's going smoothly for the next day. I absolutely would be in favor of this now.
Any other comments or questions? Okay, all in favor? Any against? Okay. Oh, I need a second.
Second.
Okay, member Thornton. Okay, all in favor? Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. Thank you. And finally, I move to accept and put on file item TEP 000325 Recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order to Acela Incorporated for managed application services to provide support with permitting software for the building and zoning, transportation, stormwater, and public works departments for the period February 21st, 2025 through February 20th, 2026, for a contract total not to exceed $203,674.38, exempt from bidding, not suitable for competitive bids, sole source, proprietary software maintenance and support. And I have a second. Okay, any comments or questions on this? We've seen this at a couple meetings this morning. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any against? Okay, old business. I didn't see that. Oh, okay, under old business. Oh, yes, okay. Anybody have any old business from the committee? Okay, I'm gonna turn this over to Steve, who's going to fill us in on an issue in Darien.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask Bill to come up. We have a project in Darien, near Plainfield and Cass, where we have already got approval to work with the municipality to improve a retaining wall and work on some drainage issues. The village is the lead on this project, and there's been some changes, so including some right-of-way needs. And so our commitment is gonna potentially be altered, so we wanted to bring this to your attention, and I'll turn it over to Bill.
Great, thanks, Steve. This has to do with a retaining wall, which you can kind of see in the pictures there. In 2023, Darien requested that we collaborate with them to replace an aging retaining wall along Plainfield Road that's immediately east of Cass Avenue. This is a cut wall, which means it's lower than the road, which is why you can't really see it too well in some of the photos. But it separates the roadway and the sidewalk from the backyards of the adjacent homeowners. The original project costs were estimated at $375,000. We brought this forward as an IGA in September of 23, and the board approved us funding $187,500, which represented half of the expected design and construction costs. So that's what Darien had asked for at the time. So as they've been working through the project, they've run into a few unanticipated design issues. They've also learned that there's an easement across the residential yards that they believe they had access to, but their attorney's telling them they cannot legally use it for constructing the new wall. So with the additional work that's required and the land acquisition that they're going to need to do to get access to this easement, the cost of the project is more than double. And they're asking if we would be willing to increase our participation accordingly. So the current project cost overall is estimated to be $876,000. So Steve and I visited the site. I put some photos in front of you so you can see what we're working with. Ultimately, this wall is the county's responsibility. And the fact that Darien's participating in it in the way they are is really to our financial advantage. If we don't participate in any more beyond what we've already committed to, and they chose not to do the project because of that, we would ultimately in the future be responsible for the full cost of designing and constructing the replacement. So just briefly on the cost, the breakdown of the proposed cost of the new cost, the construction work would be about $733,000. The land acquisition would be about $48,000. They're proposing some specialty lighting on the fence that would be about $20,000. And the engineering cost is $75,000, which remains the same as what it was before. Steve and I would recommend that the county pay the cost of the land acquisition fully. The city would handle the transaction, but they would obtain the land in the name of the county. And so it would become right of way. And that makes more sense, we think, than the city taking on the land and having a little strip of, a property between our right of way and the residential. We also would recommend that we not pay for any of the lighting costs. It's purely decorative, and it serves the city's aesthetics. So while we don't have any objection to them lighting the wall, we would say, let's not pay for that. And we'd recommend that we pay for half the construction cost and half the engineering cost, which is in the spirit of the original IGA and allows us to get a new wall that we ultimately are responsible for without having to worry about replacing it in the near future. So if we did what I just described, the county participation would be updated to be $452,000. And as you recall, I mentioned the original IGA was $187,500. So it's an increase of $264,500. So basically what we wanted to do was share this with you today, get concurrence or guidance from the committee on what you'd like us to go back to Darien with. And then we'll work up the updated IGA accordingly.
Start with me. My question, seeing these plans in front of us, was there any attempt made by Darien to have the homeowners participate? Because it would seem to me that this is a really nice improvement on their property to have this fence built. Any comments or any idea?
But I don't know the answer. I'll let Bill jump in, but the fence is, this is a very nice fence and it is a relatively nice looking, as so the rendering. But it is a several foot drop, adjacent to the sidewalk. So some sort of fence is probably a very good idea here.
Okay,
Yeah, I don't have anything yet. I think,
well, there is an existing fence.
there is an existing fence,
Fair
it's
enough.
chain link and.
Okay. All right, we'll leave the
And I will
rest,
say
I'll
there's
leave
not-
the residents out of it then.
There's not much cost difference between the fence they're proposing and what it would be
There's-
to replace
there's
the chain
not.
link.
Okay. Are they making the wall is higher in the renderings? Are you making?
I'm sorry,
Is the new wall, it appears to be somewhat higher,
it's not really.
maybe a course
any-
or so?
Yeah, it may only be 6 or 8 inches higher than the existing wall. It's not significantly higher. than
Okay, so
what's-
it's pretty much still parallel
much
with the
still-
sidewalk?
Yeah,
Okay,
and just for context, it's probably about a 4.5 foot difference. It's a little bit of a slope, and you can see in the first picture, it's very low.
okay.
That's at the far end of the wall, but the majority of the wall is probably about 4 feet.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. How long is the wall and how many homes would it cover? Do we know those answers?
I think it's about 250 feet, something like that, and it's 4 homes, if I remember. It's either 4 or 5 homes. Yeah.
Any other questions, comments? Okay, if anyone has any other further comments, let Bill or Steve know. Okay, all consensus?
Yeah, so, yeah.
Okay, I would like to propose that we go ahead with this program and is everybody in favor of that? Yes, okay. Anybody against? All right, then, I'm sorry, what's that?
I said I'm not on the committee, but I'd be in favor though too.
Okay,
Whose district?
thank you.
Just 2?
Great.
3.
Great, okay.
Okay, so.
All right, so,
the
proceed.
452,000 was proposed back to me.
okay.
You roll it.
All right, let me see, go back to my agenda, sorry. That was our old business. Any other old business? Any new business? Okay, and I'm gonna move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? All right.